was that? I got back to a new horror stream. I was a little late. I'm sorry. I was prepared. I forgot to do things like that. I haven't seen yesterday's stream. I since I hold that one. Do you guys like that? No, it's guys like it. I like it. The only thing I kinda, I don't know how can I say this. I like it. The only thing that's kind of going is I sit right in front of those types and it's kind of sad there. Who cares? But we're not talking about that today. We're going to talk, not even going to talk, we're going to watch. If you don't know who these people are, they are, how can I say this? Officially it's his channel, he's doing like a few songs or something, like they are going to ghost science is going to haunt houses and say science is going to do everything with ghosts. It's really crazy, yeah. We are going to watch, today we are going to watch something, little too loud actually. Today, they are going to stay also at a haunted, how so going to turn to it? I know what I'm going to turn to this, but I don't know what that is. But yeah. Oh, where's my face gaan? Why did I turn off my face gaan? Okay. I don't know. It's not going well. It's actually not going well today. What's that, Jake? Oh, that's a good day right there. Let's just fucking go with it. I'm excited. And that's right there.
Inmates will be brought down here. They would be shackled by their wrists to the wall in a standing position anywhere from about 1 to 30 days. Pull them into the middle of the room and almost decapitate. Whole tour watches those 3 men disappear.
Man, that's crazy.
That's
Very.
Dude, this is.
If I ever have the opportunity to go there, I definitely will go.
Is there anybody here with us?
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god.
Right in the middle. We don't want to harm you.
What the
anyway.
fuck?
Can you say goodbye?
Goodbye.
No. You know what the problem is?
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to TFIL and our 25.
Wait. You know what the problem is with this? One of the reasons that also there are always a small things that you think is this real? Is it? You always hope it is real, but yeah.
Weeks of haunted, abandoned, cool, historical locations, tour things that we're doing. We're in West Virginia right now, and we are actually, of course, at the West Virginia Penitentiary, which you can see was open from 1866 to 1995. This place is massive. If we got lost at Trans-Allegheny,
You're gonna have a hard time here.
I mean, it has to go 500 feet to my left and another 750 feet. Unlike the other places we've been to, this has probably the most violent history to it. Like, of course, the last places had particular cases, but as a whole,
It's probably the deadliest prison out there.
yeah, this prison is just violent. I mean, what is it? 998 documented deaths.
Yeah.
998.
That's so
Bro,
God damn, there's a lot of that.
like 1920 to 1995.
That is crazy.
And then another 500 estimated that weren't documented.
And a lot of
Just
executions.
another size
I'm
hungry.
pretty sure the electric chair is on display here.
Is it? They hung people. Oh, wow. That's so crazy.
That is insane, dog.
Yeah, and I guess like Charles Manson requested to be
Yeah.
sent here, and the
That's-
warden said, nope, we'll never have you here.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn a lot about this place. It is much different than the other two spots. But
Yeah. Well, also from what we know, it was also
Yeah,
put
what
on
the
a
hell?
burial ground from an ancient Indian tribe, and that's why it's called Moundsville.
Yeah, that's literally what Moundsville is called because of the
Insane.
giant mound that's over there.
Yeah.
So, little history here, and it looks like a castle.
Yeah.
No, I know.
It's huge.
It literally does. Well, yeah, per
Damn.
usual, we asked to have a guide that just.
I would
goes
love
further
to
than
go
us, so
there,
we're gonna have a
actually.
guide that's going to give us a history and kind of like the paranormal history or affiliation with these locations as
It
well.
could be a girl too. Doesn't have to be a guy.
Yeah, dude.
Did you say guide?
Guide.
Guide.
Oh. Guide.
Okay. Guide.
Guys, okay.
Alright, we're gonna.
He didn't hear the D.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna
Hello, mister. Oh, we'd like to go to jail, please.
Let's go to prison, guys.
Hello, mister.
We've already been let out of one prison this week.
Guys ready?
Yeah, we're
Let's do it.
In we go. Santa's got a way different workshop, huh? Look at this hut. Santa's hut.
Damn.
Santa's hut. He says Santa's
Alright.
hut.
I find that hard to
There's
believe.
just elves in all the cages.
The elves are just shanking each other.
Just, yeah, slam each other. Why not?
And they eat it. There's no evidence.
It's the perfect weapon.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect
It's
weapon.
way more tasty.
Jesus
Oh, boy.
Oh, it's nice and warm.
Ooh. Oh, does it actually document all the? Oh.
Yes, it had 9
Wow.
deaths.
9 people
What?
died in that
9
chair.
executions.
Jesus
All murdered.
Christ.
Why did they give it the same name as like a beat up car? Like old Sparky.
Old Sparky.
Old Sparky.
Yeah, or like a
Good old
dog.
Sparky. Yeah, like an old dog.
That's a dog on a farm.
What?
Sparky, that's so f***ed. Oh, I just got it too. Oh, I just got it.
That would just go through your mind.
I didn't think about it being electric chair.
Sparky.
Sparky. Anytime I think I'm somewhat smart, this happens, and I
Yeah.
go reset the
Exactly.
confidence level.
Wow.
Who's calling who dumb now?
Exactly.
Oh boy. He's a better person, so he didn't call me dumb.
See?
Oh.
Dude, you're getting close to 2 million inches up there. Look at that. Jesus Christ, you're getting tall.
2 million centimeters. Wait, why does it say 2M?
Meter, 2 meter.
2 meters?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's true. That's how the metric system works, huh?
Dude.
I don't know why they just didn't put
Come on.
200. They should have put 200.
What's happening with you right
I
now?
swear I'm smart. All right, we can start the tour now. Cool. So these are all true, genuine weapons that have been found here.
Yes.
Do you think they were confiscated after maybe somebody attacked
It's
somebody?
a tattoo gun.
I'm sure some of them were, but I can't confirm which one's in the case. That's you know.
Wait, what?
A toothbrush shank?
Yeah.
Dude, look at the fork.
That's
They
the most
bent down
common.
the 2 middle prongs and then made them pointy.
That's
There's
gnarly.
actually a little bit of a science behind that fork
What?
itself. If you actually kind of look, the inside 2 tines are not closed on the fork completely because then it acts as a fish hook. So it does damage on the way in, but it does just as much, if not more, damage on the way back. So, I mean, these inmates were pretty creative. I hate to
What
say
the
it.
hell? Wait. That's crazy.
Okay, but how does someone
That's-
just give them access to a grappling hook?
We did have a
Yeah.
prison industry building where a lot of these trusted inmates could go and learn new labor trades. Wow. And oftentimes they would smuggle, you know, razor blades or hacksaw blades.
I have heard something like this, that prisoners can lay in a workplace or something, a fucking ladder and climb out. How can you go a ladder in the darkness and climb out? How the hell does that work?
Other metal items from
Dude,
that.
the chainsaw is the craziest though.
Yeah, that could cut
Wrap around their neck and then you just pull it like this until it like saws their head off.
Or you would cut through chains.
Oh.
No, that's what that's for.
Really? To
The
kill
bars, I would assume. But
No, they didn't.
that one.
Damn.
Here, don't argue with her. No, you're wrong.
What the hell? Argument's good. It opens up discussion.
That's
Haven't
true.
you ever seen that in movies? And movies are all real. They put it around their
You
heads
just
and then they
told
go.
us you've seen no.
Yeah, I think that I was in a game. Wait, I don't know. I was in a game. I have seen somewhere, but I don't know where.
You didn't know who Charles Manson was. You still
I
don't know
I
who
know
Charles Manson is.
He's that
Who
guy.
is he?
He's the guy that did the
What
stuff.
song did he write?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Come
the-
on.
Nice.
It's kind of hard to close from this side, so as long as it's mostly closed, we understand this place is pretty
We
large.
spent a lot of time being lost the last couple of places, so.
Yeah.
What is the square footage in which we are?
That one I honestly couldn't tell you. And we do have two separate sides of the prison.
Probably another acres.
The northern side was built first
是什么事？大
in
概
1866 to 1899. And then when it became a
Yeah.
little more overpopulated, they just simply needed more room. The southern half that we're in now was built between 1929 to 1959. And although the inmates did assist, it was mostly done by construction crews.
The inmates built their own prison.
Yes.
So were they just like laying on the ground before it was made?
The original thing that was here was just simply a wooden stockade. And then when we're out on the North Recreation Yard, I'll show you their housing unit for those trusted inmates who were able to build the walls up around them.
Like the guards are like, alright, you stay in this square line. Don't you leave. You're gonna help.
Don't move. If you move, I'm going to taste you in the ass. I'm going to taste you.
Build this
You're
wall.
gonna build your own prison. That's what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna draw this line. Don't you leave.
Now, if you notice the colors on the floor here, that's because
That's
our
crazy.
population of New Wall, right down there, that's our newer updated cell block.
New Wall.
1950s. And since that was our general population and not our segregation unit, they did have a lot more freedom to move throughout the prison. So on the hour, every hour, a bell would chime, and those inmates could travel within the yellow lines to travel to either the cafeteria, the rec yard, the law library. Another bell would chime, they would be locked down there for the next hour. Now the red line behind you was actually only used for traveling back to the cell block, particularly in time of prison lockdown. And they had something they did here called the inmate walk, and this is where everyone walking within that red line had to put their hand up on the wall as high as they could reach. They had to have their other hand on the shoulder of the inmate in front of them. They were to look down at the floor. They were not permitted to speak, to smile, to make eye contact. But the biggest rule, if they stepped outside that red line, the officers had permission to shoot.
Jesus.
Now that red,
Damn. I wonder how many people really got that. God damn. That's crazy.
gun box that you can see right there, if you notice, it's kind of nicely lined up and color coordinated with that red line. The officer inside that box had to be qualified with a 12-gauge shotgun and a .357 Magnum. They had a very clear line of sight with you, but he does have to make a split-second decision. Did the inmate step over the line in order to assault another inmate, or did the guy behind him trip up his ankle and push him out of the line?
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, there are many deaths in this hallway simply over a painted line on the floor.
Jesus.
What the? I feel like how many prisons would be deaf because of one gunshot here? It would just
I know.
completely deafen
Seems like a
anybody.
flawed system.
Well, also using a 12-gauge shotgun, you gotta think you don't want to be next to that guy.
Oh,
It's about to
yeah.
step off the red line either,
Yeah.
so.
Imagine somebody really hates you and they are going and just push you out of it and they like shut what the hell? That's kind of slot system. Okay, he died.
Okay, that's funny.
Now, this wall is made up of 325 cells divided into 4 blocks J, K, L, and M. Now, the main difference between. What's that?
Were you just kidding about that first part?
What was the first part?
JK.
Oh my.
It's so stupid. Don't even pay attention to that show.
I've literally heard that joke so many times, I don't even
Don't pay attention. Yeah,
Comedy! You can tell him.
What?
That didn't scare you. That's the worst insult I've ever gotten. I heard the joke so many times, I didn't even react.
The interesting part about this wall is that this is one
Shut
cell
up.
block where you actually do have access all the way up to the
Guys, then door
Now,
ass.
this cell block was the general population, and there would have been about 500 inmates in total, usually only up to about 4 officers, so they were definitely
What has written on the last?
vastly
What?
outnumbered. And the one story that we like to give reference to in this location was actually of a man named Willie Hale. Now, he was known by the other inmates to be a snitch, and that title caught up to him eventually.
That's
The
right.
inmates did take him up to the 2nd tier. They threw him off. He survived that fall. So what they did is they took him up to the 4th tier. They threw him off, and he hit his head on that concrete shallow that you see right there. Now, he still
Damn.
survived that fall, but barely. So what they did is they stabbed him so many times that they basically decapitated him. They took his head, put it on a spike, and then walked it around all the windows for the other inmates and the community members to be able to see what happens to snitches.
How were there no guards?
There would have been about 4 in the 325 cells.
What?
So there's a good chance too that these inmates kind of knew the schedule everybody was on, and they knew kind of when they could get away with something as well.
Wait. If somebody got attacked 2 times, you kind of know that something is it, right?
And especially too, if there's a certain number of inmates that are kind of uprising,
Okay.
you're the only guard
Yeah.
here, it's almost safer for you to not interact because you know you're outnumbered.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Understandable.
Now, in this area, the paranormal occurrences that we have a lot, we do get a lot of voices being spoken, a lot of EVPs. Every once in a while, people will get, the hair
That's the thing,
touch, the
yeah.
arm touch and stuff. This one in here, I've
That's
had reports
good.
to me multiple times of people being spit on from the upper tier, which is something that would have happened during prison operation. But I will also say that there is some holes that are leaking water. So, if you're out here and you get a water drop, probably a leak in the ceiling. If you're in the tiers and you get a water drop, probably not the ceiling.
You've been spit on, yeah.
How many stitches do you think it took to put his head back on?
Oh, dude, I don't even want to think about that.
I mean, snitches do get stitches, so.
That's true. That's true.
Did you try to... That one got him.
I got a little. Have you heard that joke before, huh?
What's that?
Nothing.
Inmates will kind of sign their name. We have a couple more famous that I'll touch on a little bit as we pass one of our main art rooms, if you will. We do know that at one point, more than one point actually, we had over 3,000 inmates. We only have less than 800 cells.
What?
Damn.
So then...
That's 4 people to a cell
So
average.
in our other cell block, for instance, all the cells are 5 by 7. They would have 3 men inside of those cells.
Inside, so 2 guys had to sleep.
Damn.
Before everyone was let out into the yard, did you guys like put a milkshake out here?
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't heard that one.
All right.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Was it good?
It was good.
Wow.
Like, I'm a little mad I didn't think of that myself.
That's I thought for sure she would have heard that one.
I'm batting 500. I'm batting 500, boys.
You need to go back to prison. You need to go back into the prison right now.
Now, we do have as well an indoor recreation room when it was inclement weather out here, too much snow or too much rain. What they would do is they would take about 150 inmates, roughly, and they would shove them into a room in the basement that was never intended to house inmates. And because of this, there was a lot of dangers for the officers to go and check on these inmates. There's very low ceilings, so the officer can never get the visual height advantage. If it's one officer versus hundreds of inmates, you can't carry a loaded weapon for the fear that the inmate will take it and use it against you. There's lots of pillars throughout the room that creates a lot of blind spots. So for the safety of the officers, they were often advised not to go check on the inmates in this room, and the inmates knew that. So after an uncountable number of robberies, fights, stabbings, and usually sexual assaults, it was nicknamed by the inmates the Sugar Shack. And that's not because you could get candy from the commissary down there.
That's exactly what I thought it would be for.
And that's our next location.
All right, let's go.
Why would you put them there as you can't use a second gun? That's a second gun. That's
Sugar Shack.
Yeah, there.
Oh, no, not to worry about. This is Sugar Shack?
Yes. Now the pillars, as you can see, kind of created a blind spot. If if an officer was just to
Yeah,
his head
okay.
inside,
True.
you can't see a lot of the room. Now down here, we do tend to get a lot of shadow figures to the point where when our haunted house runs through October and it runs through this location, you get to take a nice boat ride on the River of Styx. We have a lot of our actors that actually will spend about a weekend down here and request to be moved into a different location. Because although there is a lot of fog that's spread down here, they will see someone coming through the fog. They will kind of prepare themselves to get ready for the scare, and then that person will disappear right in front of them.
Okay,
So
that's.
oftentimes a lot of our employees do
I got goosebumps. I didn't like that. I didn't like
We
that.
also do get a lot of reports of orange, not always orbs because it's not always a circular shape, but a lot of, smudges within a picture, and they all happen to be very bright, vibrant orange, and we're not sure what the significance of that color is.
What's the chances you have a smoke machine?
Weird.
Maybe. maybe I'll have to ask Ryan upstairs.
Oh, if you do, that would be insane.
A lot of people get a lot of stuff down here with laser grids as well. You know, you said
Oh, we do have those.
and a lot of people will get those figures that are moving for a laser grid.
That would be insane.
Okay.
So sick.
So
You
all
really
this
just want to
other
get
stuff-
me scared.
I'll be your best friend if you have it. Like,
Here as well. So this doorway in particular was not where you
That man is crazy. Okay. He's crazy.
I was actually coming through here one night, and the only other person in the building was actually my nephew, so someone I'm very close with.
and you
we're
stabbed him.
Walking through, and believe it or not, I kind of thought, but I was walking through, and we're just having a conversation. I'm not even paying attention. My cigarettes are in my pocket, and they get ripped out.
What?
They got
What?
ripped out
Yes.
by your
Like to the
nephew.
point where I could actually hear like the scraping of the cardboard box.
What?
Yeah, I made quite an interesting noise, and my nephew is actually on the other side of me.
Oh, okay.
I will run.
It's him.
I will run for my life if that would happen. If somebody langsamt goes in my room and there is nobody, I will run for my life. I will run.
That's crazy.
Or trying to say it, I guess, that if there isn't nobody, well, I run to side.
So now we're on the side that the inmates from. Correct? This side is?
This is the older side.
Okay.
Built by one of our inmates out of paper mache.
Really?
Well, and concrete as well.
Wow.
Wow.
The turtles here, they got Leonardo.
Now, in this room, we had two main artists who decided that the children that were coming in for visitation were very frightened, and they wanted to lighten the mood. So my personal favorite happens to be our famously muscular prison.
I like to mention that, though. My favorite.
Tattoo.
Reoccurring theme, you'll see these all over the place. And the rumor that goes around about these prison unicorns is that they were painted in dedication to the inmates who were labeled the sweet ones. So many of these have very nice rear ends.
Did y'all just hear that?
Yes, I did.
Is he serious?
It happens so often here that I don't.
Wait, I thought somebody walked in behind us.
No.
I didn't hear that. I thought I didn't hear that.
Ryan was still in there.
Yeah, I saw
And
him.
Ryan is very thorough about paranormal investigations. If he had made a noise, he would quickly announce it was him. On January 1st of 1986, a riot in this room lasted about 52 hours, 16 hostages were taken, and 3 inmates were brutally murdered.
52 hours?
Damn.
So this is our infamous
So wait, $50. It's around 2.5 days, I guess. Because 38 is 2 days, and I did to say 54, I guess. So around 2.5 days, damn.
Shadow Man's hallway. Now, a quick Google search of the penitentiary, you're probably going to pop up with one of our most infamous images. In about May of 2002, a lady named Polly Gear was traveling through here, and she's in the hallway by herself. She hears what she describes as a metallic object being thrown her way and hitting the floor. So she turns around, and in that cafeteria door stands the full-bodied figure of a man completely cast in shadow.
Nah. Nah, mate. Nah. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I would love to do that, but also I will not go alone. If I would do something like that in the future, because I would love to do that long time. I don't know, long or where, but in the future I would love to try this long time, but yeah. The store is completely
She
shut
takes a
up.
flashlight and she shines it at the shadow man. The light passes through him. But he actually already seems to be, intelligent enough that he actually follows the path of the light rise onto his chest. So now, understandably, she decides to leave the hallway,
Run.
but she snaps
Yeah.
one photo and
Yeah.
captures that shadow man.
Yeah,
To
Lynn.
this day, that is
Where-
probably one of our most infamous images. Have you guys seen it?
I need to see that.
Dude, that looks super close to the USS Salem one.
Okay. I just got fucking goosebumps. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I don't know. I don't know if you could say this. Could you say this? I don't think so, right? Nah, you can't say that.
That's
Yes, but it
very
was huge.
well. I mean, but look at the size of the door, dude.
And that's right in front of the cafeteria door, right?
Yes. That door is on
Damn.
the
Wow.
He stood there that long that she could even just take a picture.
I cannot believe that.
That's crazy.
Nee, he woont er attention.
Since that day, we've had the reports of so many different people that have either captured or seen that shadow figure. And a lot of people like to kind of speculate on who they think it is. You know, is it a disgruntled guard? Is it a murdered inmate? Because I've actually seen a line of shadow men come through that open doorway and kind of walk
A line?
cafeteria.
Perfect.
Wait. A line?
Hey, here's a question for you. Where do baby cows eat lunch?
Oh my god.
Oh
I get it.
no.
I already know what you're gonna say.
Oh no.
Cafeteria.
Yep, and where do legs eat lunch, Hilton, huh? Where do legs eat lunch?
I didn't like this sauce. I didn't like this sauce.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I get some Alfredo for me and my boys?
Yeah, him and his boys, boss. Excuse me, boy.
We ain't got no Alfredo, kid.
What the you mean you ain't got Fredo?
We ain't got no Fredo here.
Are you afraid of Fredo?
Get him,
ain't
boss.
afraid
Get him,
of
boss.
nothing.
Get him, boss.
Well, you shouldn't be because you're on
What's
scare
happening now?
tactics.
What's
Now,
happening
where's
now?
my Fredo?
We
Yeah,
ain't
where's the
got
Fredo,
no
boss?
Fredo.
Get him, boss. Yeah, where's the Fredo, boss? I tell him where the Fredo is.
There ain't no Fredo here, kid. You're gonna have to do something else.
All right, well, where's the 4 for 4? That's what Corbin wants.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper.
That's what I want, boss.
What's happening now?
McDonald's.
Can I get the J Valve?
Ever heard about
We're gonna have the Mario Lopez shake next? Like what?
No, he's not as famous.
Can I get the Reba? The McIntyre? Can I get the Reba McIntyre quarter pounder, please?
Yes,
How
yes.
did Capone become after he died?
Ghost comedy time. I didn't like.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, okay. Look at that. No, don't give him that one. Don't give him that one.
Don't, no. It wasn't funny.
Don't give him that one. That one
It wasn't funny. Come
What
on.
makes it a good one?
No.
Bad
It wasn't funny.
punishment.
All right.
What's next? We gotta learn.
Now this is our northern recreation yard with
Is that a normal noise?
it's probably because it's been kind of rainy.
I started as hersengang run. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to take a set of my drink and I thought I hersengang run.
And stuff today that it's probably water drips
Yeah.
falling on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm my pants. We're good. Go back.
So I warn you, we've nicknamed this the Bat Cave.
Okay.
Not a paranormal term, it's just where the bats live.
Oh, I thought that was a gun there.
Now this area
I
for a
love
while,
that, man.
until about the 1950s, was actually used as our solitary confinement.
Ooh.
Inmates would be brought down here, they would be shackled by their wrist to the wall in a standing position anywhere from about 1 to 30 days.
What?
They were provided with 2 buckets.
What?
One was for your water and one was where your water went when you were done with it.
Ah.
There was never any electricity that was ran through here, so cockroaches pretty much took over this location. This location was also known to flood, usually above the knees of the inmate. So now think about
Damn.
the height of the bucket that is containing your human waste. And
Oh.
now that's all floating up around you,
That makes
and
sense.
those cockroaches are seeing you for dry land.
Oh, makes sense.
Now there was one warden, John Peck,
Oh,
who was known for
there's a
taking
bat. Is that a
his-
bat? Oh yeah, look right
Oh,
here.
that's
Look at
kind
him.
of cute though.
Wake him up.
Corona.
Is that
Yeah,
a
it's a
bat?
bat. Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah, it's a bat.
It actually is a bat.
Yeah, it's
Yo, are you okay?
yeah, it's a cute little face.
What the?
Look at his face.
I know. He's
Nah,
so cute.
is he
His
dead?
cute little face.
He's got a cute little face.
Is he dead? No, he's
Probably not. Now, one warden, John Peck, was known for taking his punishments to the inmates a little too far, and he was known for his uses of torture devices, and some of the most famously known for him were the shoe fly. This is where they
What?
take a large gauge water hose, much like what you would see a fireman use. They would hold that about 1 foot from the inmate's face,
Oh.
turn that on full blast until the officer had felt like the inmate learned the lesson.
A fire hose
Yes.
from 1 inch away from the face.
Yes, 1 foot, about.
I've done one
What?
from like 10 feet and that hurts like hell. I meant to the face.
nasty.
Do they end up with
That
teeth?
could, I mean, that we've known of jaws that were broken and ripped to the side.
Oh,
Yo. Is that legal? Is that... Wait. I know there are some fucked up rules in prison that... If that isn't legal? That doesn't seem legal.
Yeah. That is
But he was a little more famously known for his use of the kicking jenny. This is a wooden half arch, a warped over piece of wood. An inmate would be shackled by their ankles on one side, bent over that half arch, shackled by their wrist on the other. Now, the night before, they would take a 3-inch wide leather strap. They would soak that in vinegar or salt water. Before the torture began, they would then dip that wet whip in a bucket of sand. Now, it was the job of one officer to beat the back of the inmate, usually causing the skin to swell so bad that it was described as tearing like wet paper.
It's like sandpaper.
And this would continue either until the officer was totally overtaken by exhaustion or until the inmate died.
Oh my. So either they died or the officer got tired
Yes.
of torturing him, like physically tired.
Yes. Now, this continued until Warden John Peck was asked to step down as warden once it was discovered that he had an average of 2 inmate deaths by torture per month for just over 2 years.
Per month.
Over 2 years. So
Now, after that
24,
time period, this was converted into a maintenance boiler area, and there was one inmate who was trusted enough to be able to work on these boilers that they allowed him the freedom to reside down here by himself. Now, his name was Robert Daniel Wall. He called himself RD, but the other inmates called him the warden's favorite snitch.
I want to say Warren Scott.
Now, they did not like the idea that he had the freedom to come in and out of here as often as he'd like, that he had his own basic apartment, if you will. He didn't have to be kept in a cell. He had a lot of freedoms. And as well, being known for a snitch, the other inmates did not like that. So on October 8th of 1979, 2 to 3 inmates broke into this location. They found RD actually on the toilet at the time, stabbed him multiple times, pulled him into the middle of the room, and almost decapitated him. Now, when he didn't show up to, the count the next morning, that's how the officers knew something was wrong, because he was always on time. And they came down here to find his lifeless body in his bedroom. And if you're interested, right off to the side here, I'm going to duck under the mat like a little girl. And
That sucks. That's really sucks, guys. What the hell?
Yes.
Why are there 2 chairs in here?
Usually because people like to kind of take a minute down here, and especially because it gets very dark in here as well, and they kind of like to try to have a conversation with RD, if you will. Now, a lot of people believe that RD still resides down here. He is a very friendly spirit. However, sometimes he's a little too friendly. He likes to let himself usually be known through touch.
Okay.
Now, for the men, it's usually a grab of the arm or, a swipe across the rib cage or something. For the ladies, it's usually, a soft caress of the face or a tug of the hair.
Wow. Why were they letting him live like a king?
Because he was trusted, and as well, he was able to work on that boiler system. Anytime it would break down, he would just already be down here to fix it.
Wow. So they killed him. Because he was snitch.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but it literally felt like someone blew on my neck.
Just now?
Again, it could be wind or a bat. That was really creepy.
I will say it is a little bit hard to get the air draft back through that S-curve here. We don't get a lot of wind in this.
It was like a directional blow right on the side of my leg.
Yeah.
I know who RD likes.
Robert. No.
RD's looking for his unicorn. And Evan has an 8C.
Whoa.
What's interesting about you saying that, especially because I didn't tell this part of the story, and I don't know what you guys are comfortable with on camera or not. I'm sure you can control
Absolutely
this.
everything.
This is Angst als God. Yeah, this is anything.
So RD was said to be into men. And the rumor is that
Oh.
one of the men that broke into here was his ex-boyfriend, and that's how he knew to get into here. He had already had access to this location.
Oh.
It sounds like he does. Just a tiny bit.
Evan honestly looks like a prison so.
He does.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! It's kind of a compliment, like if you think about it.
I mean, dude, we're only 10 minutes down here and Robert's already blowing him.
Okay, alright.
We got a lot of editing.
Come
on
on.
this
No,
one.
we don't. This is great.
Oh.
Come on, do it. Come on, do it. You're doing a really good job there.
Come on,
Real good job, Dan. Real good job.
This is the only way he could keep himself alone with girls.
Deadly part if you
Oh no. Oh no. This is
look up kind of close.
Okay.
Butterfly-shaped fish hooks Those are designed that
Huh?
when they sense your movement, they curl into your muscle tissue.
Oh.
You wiggle around and try to get yourself free. The deeper they curl and the faster you bleed out.
Oh, that makes sense.
That
Oh.
gives you an idea of like exactly how sharp it is. It was manufactured by the Gillette Razor Company, and yes, it is the best a man can get.
No, you couldn't do that. There's no way. Not
No,
without throwing something over. You should try.
yeah, I want to see you try. Oh my gosh, bro, you guys want
Wait. Wat is het nou doen? Wat is het doen?
Razor blades on it?
Can I say on camera that I do not condone it? Now in this area, before these
Yeah, what the
bullpens
fuck
were
is
here,
it do that?
stood a two-story white building, nice large viewing window up on the second floor, and that was what was referred to as our death house. And that's what housed
What?
our gallows and old Sparky the electric chair for many years.
geez.
The public could come in and purchase tickets and they could watch this all unfold, but just because it was in the public eye doesn't mean things always went smoothly. In the year of 1931, Frank Heyer was up for a hanging. Now, Frank was a larger man, very broad shoulders, very tall, and long story short, the officers made the rope a little bit too long for his body mass. When he came crashing through those double doors, he was instantly decapitated. Now, as his head rolls into the middle of the public crowd,
Oh.
and, you know, panic ensues, that's kind of when the warden decided that maybe these shouldn't be so public. And he comes up with the title of by invitation only. Now, to gain an invitation, you either had to be a friend, family member, loved one of either the inmate or one of their victims, or sometimes you could call the warden and say, hey, psst, you know, I got
Hey, Warren, I want to see that.
some ticket money for you.
so crazy.
Now 7 years
Damn. Why would you want to see that? Why would you actually want to see that in real life? What the
after
hell?
Frank Heyer in 1938, the West Virginia Penitentiary featured one of its first triple hangings and actually advertised it in the local newspapers, 3 for the price of 1.
Wow.
Now, the man standing in the center, his name was Orville Adkins, and just before they got the rope around his neck, those double doors below him opened prematurely, and he fell about 20 to 25 feet onto the concrete below, breaking multiple bones. Now, they did send in a medical team to look him over. There wasn't really much they could do for him being a death row inmate, so they brought out a stretcher, tied him down, carried him back up to the second floor, and hung him stretcher and all. People will report a lot of shadow figures that are quickly passing through, and some even report that they actually go through this gap in the fence here. So, you know, we're led to believe it's not an actual living human that can just run through fences. We get a lot of the sounds of men cursing or having conversations with each other, and we have had reported these fences will start to very violently shake. It's a power play move for the leadership of the Aryan Brotherhood. Rusty Lassiter stabbed Red Snyder 37 times in the face, throat, and chest. Lots of people are led to believe that Red still resides in North Hall, and he does like to check up on our customers from time to time. One of the #1 complaints I get when people pass by Red's cell is that their own name was whispered in their ear. So I wanted you to be able
Okay,
to
that's
see
weird. That's really strange.
that
Okay.
there's nothing in that hallway. And that is what a customer sent to us. It looks like a figure of a man standing in that open hallway. There's,
What?
to me at least, there's nothing in that hallway that looks like a man standing there.
Crazy. I would go insane being in here.
Oh, yeah.
The officers that work this location
Yeah.
usually had to wear full riot gear just to feed these guys.
Oh no, I'm locked in a scary cell.
Watch out, because that one does get stuck.
Yeah. That would be crazy if you really got stuck in there.
Yeah, sometimes, especially with the cold weather.
I barely even see him. Cool.
Now, this is arguably the most
Cool.
active
Just
location
leaving
in the
me.
prison. This is one location where many of our employees just absolutely refuse to enter. Lots of ankles being grabbed, shadow figures crossing the hallways, footsteps running
But I'm
around.
curious. This is not a place anymore. But what are you doing with it now? Just showing around, I guess.
What is that for?
Dentist office.
Oh, dentist.
Dentist, okay. Still going to dentist in
Can you
prison.
shine your light all the way down there? Whoa! No, it's not on the picture at
Huh?
all. When my camera flashed, I saw someone standing there like this, and I was like, oh, there's definitely like a desk or something there.
So I came up here one time for one of our paranormal tours, and I got to the very beginning of the steps, and I looked down to see if another tour guide's group was at the end, because
Yeah, okay, so they are doing doing tours
If I
there,
move too
okay.
quickly with my tours on certain tours, I might run into the back end of the other tour guide. And there's about 3 men standing right in that open room, so I tell my tour, I'm like, hey, we might have gone too quickly.
What is that?
Is that like a face?
Wait a second, let me see.
What?
Do you wanna?
Yes, I do.
Honestly, look.
Honestly,
Oh, weird.
Here, I wanna
What?
do this again just to see if I can get that
Right.
like, shadow look.
well, can you see
down
it?
the hall. No, I didn't see it again. That's weird.
We lost Elton.
Oh, okay, you don't got to see it,
I
okay.
was telling my
So,
customers one day that there was a couple of men standing in that hall, and one of the customers on the tour, he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, ma'am, I don't think that's a tour. And I look over and my whole tour watches those 3 men disappear, and then my flashlight dies.
Oh, perfect. Was that up in the nighttime or was that?
Yeah, in October we do something called a North Walk, and it's a 45-minute flashlight only paranormal tour. So for those that don't really care for like the haunted house, people jumping out at you.
Yeah.
Another prison unicorn.
Hey, look at
oh, you go.
Hair of Evan though.
that does. Yes.
What?
What?
Nothing.
I remember when you had long hair.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than Brandon's.
Mm.
And yeah.
Do you want to see his hair? I think his hair might be longer than yours.
Hold on, give me a second.
I don't know, I got that
Huh?
whole Amish look going on.
Here we go. No,
When you come out, Brandon, come out as a
What's happening? What is happening?
Oh.
What's happening?
He just looked at me and goes, okay.
Give me a second here. Okay. I present to you Brandon Gross.
What is going on? What the hell is going on? I want to see some paranormal shit, not a man on also.
Oh. Oh my god.
There's no way that's real.
Where is it? Whoa,
Wait.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait, where'd he go?
There's no way.
What
I
is
didn't know
happening?
here for like a second. Oh, dude.
You just, dude, there was like a prison unicorn,
There was a unicorn
right
here.
there.
Just a second ago.
I swear to God.
I would have heard one.
It looked just like that.
Dude, that's sexy. I wish I could have seen something like
But
that.
it was a little bit like, its behind was like a little bit thicker.
Oh, yeah. That thick.
It was like a bad bitch pony.
Exactly.
Damn it. Maybe one day.
It had like another limb, like underneath too. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and like the horn wasn't on its head.
It wasn't on its head.
It was like under him.
It was
almost.
weird.
The bathroom here gets a lot of EVPs, and we're led to believe because of this.
I don't know what's happening,
Place in
guys.
here, for
I
instance,
really
there was
don't
one
know what's
inmate
happening.
Who fell asleep on the toilet, or so the nurses thought. When they go to wake him up, they realize he sliced his throat open and his femoral artery with a razor blade, and he was bleeding out into the toilet the whole time.
Oh my God.
Oh. That's
And down here is my least
okay.
Out of all
favorite.
these
It's my
rooms,
favorite and my least favorite.
what? It's your favorite.
Okay.
and your least favorite. How can you have both?
You'll notice I won't walk inside. This one contains our suicide psych watch cells. An inmate would be stripped naked as to have nothing to harm themselves with. They would be in those cells anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. I don't know why that is unlocked because it is constantly locked.
Wait. That's not supposed to.
That's not supposed to be.
Right.
I've never seen that open.
You've never seen that open.
Wait.
No.
Why is it
I
open then?
promise you.
You've never.
Why is it locked on the surface actually?
It's kind of beautiful.
Oh wait, look at this though. Jack.
What does that say?
It says Jack. Look at the bottom. What's the name of the use? Oh wow. Yeah, look at this. Look at it.
Good in there.
They
for you?
start
It
violently
smells like
shaking.
cologne.
It smells
It
good.
smells like literally like
Why'd you go in
Cologne.
You've never been in there. Why not go there? Come on, first time for everything.
I have no trust for anybody inside a haunted prison.
Why does it
I'm
smell
gonna
like
be completely
cologne?
honest.
I swear to God though.
It's first time for everything. That's what we're
We
here
do
for.
get a
It's our
lot
turn
of
to
like
guide you.
smell reports though, and it's not usually
But
like things
why is it
like
open
like
actually
usually
then?
maybe tobacco products
Yeah.
or something like that.
Cigarettes.
We get a lot of like
How does it open? Is it
candy
normally
smells
isn't
and a lot
open?
of
And look.
perfumes or colognes, which Sometimes on tour, if I have multiple people, it might just be one of them.
There's like a ton of codes in here. It's like 9-1.
Just watch out for that drain.
SE.
Let him go in.
4-8. S C C.
Man, you got up here probably.
Ew, what the hell?
Never seen the inside.
You've never just pulled the door?
Tons of customers pull the door all the time.
Guess they're not
But
strong.
I mean, how did you guys figure out it was open? You go over, you
Yeah, exactly. The huge.
Was it
Yeah.
open whenever you walked in here? No, it was closed.
No, it was
I even
closed.
heard the latch undo itself too. I literally pulled it and I heard it undo the little.
Maar het zijn zo lange tijd dat het zijn zijn droog open.
Yeah, I mean that one.
Het is zo lang gekomen. Twee koelen open. Dat graag zijn ze het. Breed of something. I don't know. I really don't know.
People in there, because then if it does lock again. Yeah, see, it was locked. It was like that. Try opening it.
Yo, dat was niet zo zwaar. Nou is wel raar zijn met. What is then it starting to just close the door on someone. That is so sucked up.
Oh.
That sucked. That's
wasn't messing with you like it's never.
We should have put Courtney.
yeah.
Dude, what if we would have just?
No, you tried closing the door.
But Elton.
Well, I stopped it. I stopped it.
No, I stopped him closing it on you.
Oh, I had my foot there. There was no way that was happening.
No, when you were in there.
So wait. Just to recollect what's just happened. She's never seen the inside of this ever. Elton comes up, opens this door, which we know is locked right now. It was unlocked for you.
What?
You saw this. First time she's ever seen the inside. Takes a picture of it. You put it back. It's locked again.
I mean, it wasn't unlocked. I heard the lock undo itself.
It
I
undid.
literally pulled on it and I heard it
How does it look then now? What the
go
hell?
and like undo itself.
No.
Wait, what?
Okay, it's a thumb.
Wait, what?
It's a clapper.
No, it's not clever.
So now I want to know what that code is.
Did you go in there and film it?
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Do you know of an
Huh?
inmate called Jack Anhoff?
No, I do not.
I hate that it sounds like I'm saying what I'm saying.
Jack hung off.
That's incredible.
Huh.
I'm kind of really happy I was here to witness that.
Holy
That was crazy.
Huh?
Yes.
How
Now,
come?
this plexiglass
That's so
here,
weird.
I had
What
him
the
come out
hell?
door and he comes up to the window and he does one of these numbers to see inside. And he jumps and screams. His girlfriend starts laughing at him and he said it was another person on tour, some lady wearing red. She leaned up in the window at the same time and it scared me. So I collect the group back together and the only females on the tour are me and his girlfriend. No one is wearing red.
Wow.
So he's a little bothered by that. At the end of the day, I go to another tour guide and I tell him the story. He said,
No.
well, you do know who wore red, right? And I said, no. He said all members of the psych unit had to wear red to depict throughout the prison where they should be located.
Wow.
You're home.
No. I would blow. I will slick the shot out. As you were a gun building or something, I looked into a room, I see someone at the same time looking back at you. No, I will slick the shot out.
Look, our little unicorn's home.
This room was used for Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And the reason it has no windows, some people believe it's for jumpers. Nope, we've got bars on the windows for that. It's used for the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. You never want to expose an alcoholic to natural light.
Oh my god.
That was a good one.
That was the best one of the whole video.
I think so.
I hate that. I hate
That was
that.
so good. Would you like to go
I
to
heard-
TFIL? How you feeling?
Do you need us to spoon feed that one to you or no?
No, I got
Did
it.
you understand?
I got it.
Okay.
He's trying to act like it's not funny because he knows it was better than his joke.
Oh!
Think of every beer name.
Yep.
His brain is just going crazy.
What do you call your son that has not a lot of knowledge of Budweiser? All right, come on, Elton, spit one out. Come on, spit one out.
of
Let's
course.
go.
Come on.
Come on, dude.
Come on, Heineken.
Come on, dude. Come on, dog. Oh, he's pissing his
There it
pants
is. There
again.
it is. There it is.
Elton, he's pissing.
He's
again.
almost there. He's almost there.
What's happening?
His brain's calculating.
What's happening?
1,000 miles a minute.
Here we go.
What's happening?
This is what he does when he can't think of puns.
Okay, wait. He sees it.
Hey,
This is fire.
Hey, slap him.
Okay.
Hey,
I'm cooking this.
you're better than that.
I'm
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Okay.
leave! That wasn't
Beautiful.
It wasn't bad, but it was good. It was good, you know. I liked it. I think he put a lot of effort into it, and that made it even funnier.
Yes, yeah.
This is a weird video.
It is.
Such a weird thing.
I thought I was going to see some ghost shit.
My favorite. My neck hurts. Hell, we're getting the glory hole
Let's
again.
Alright, so this video will not be monetized.
You hear about when Barbie got the DUI?
No.
She was with that Heineken doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Okay. Dat is de end of this video. It was sunny. It was also really fucking weird. Not gonna lie about that. It was really fucking weird. I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, it was okay. How long has it streamed? It has not that long actually. Should I do one more? I don't know. Sorry. Sure. Let's do one more. This one is
place has a-
wait. So I'm sorry. This is another one. I don't know. I liked the other one, but it was also. I don't know. It wasn't taken too seriously, and I like when it's really seriously. But yeah. Oh, you have 5 people. Damn, that's impressive. First time you have 5 people at the same time. But yeah. Okay, let's get started. We are going to watch now also TFIL. And we are going to watch also night and then wait, what? Okay, Australia, okay. I'm not even trying. I'm not even going to try to announce it, but yeah, let's just go and watch this. This is going to be the last one, and then it's a day for today.
Holy crap.
It's a little working correctly.
You gotta say, he never talks. What happened? What just happened?
In the room behind you.
Wait.
Was that you? What? There were 2 patients in the back. We got into an altercation. One patient turned to the other and he stabbed him 17 times with a homemade shank.
Jeez.
The guy in
Wow.
the bathroom, though, he ended up crawling out of the bathroom all the way down to the nurse's desk before he passed away. So he pinned the guy up against the wall with his feet on his chest until he lost consciousness. The guy hit the floor and Jim beat him to death with his own fist.
Yo, that's its own fist.
They grabbed a metal frame bed, they put the post right on top of his head, and they took turns jumping up and down on the bed until the post went through his skull and hit the floor. To this day, people will still make contact with Dean.
What? What?
Do not wait.
What?
Oh my god, I said there was something inside here with me.
Wait. I'm going to the sound anyway, because I think it's too high for you guys. That's too low. I wasn't looking at the sound, but who cares?
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the TFIL overnight tour of abandoned, haunted, cool exploration type places. We're still on
Hopefully,
North
they are going to
Mid-
do something that
Midwest.
goes today.
Midwest? We're in West Virginia. Are we? And more importantly,
Nobody knows.
nobody knows. We just drive all day to new places. They just wake up and we're like, by the way, we're in Hawaii now.
Thank you, Alton.
We're at
Okay, that's
California
crazy.
Lunatic Asylum.
Jesus Christ.
It is, of course, in Weston, West Virginia. Wow. This place is amazing. We
That
actually
looks
found out
beautiful,
6
actually.
acres walking interior of 6 acres.
Jesus.
And more importantly, this one's a cool fact. The actual plot of land it's on is 666 acres.
No.
With 13 buildings.
You're saying it's
No
way. Wait. You're saying it's 666 and
Yeah.
13.
666 acres.
This
That
is-
is the legal amount
I'm
of land
just
that
in.
we
Sorry,
own
it's
on
just
right now
in.
that makes up Trans-Allegheny. Yep. And there's 13 buildings with 6 physical acres in here. There's 4 stories in this building alone with the basement, and there's buildings basically all over the property. This place has a really, really twisted, gruesome history to it.
Dude,
as far
it's
as
like
I know.
it's cursed.
Damn.
Right?
I
Like-
mean,
like
what,
Satan
4,000
named it.
4,000
Over
lobotomies.
4,000 lobotomies and a lot of deaths from the lobotomies.
A lot of murders that have happened here, either patient on patient.
Yeah,
or
I can't understand
there
that.
are people that have
This
been
is crazy,
born
right?
in- literally born here and kept here and died here. A girl named Lily, who I'm sure we're gonna hear about later. So apparently, no matter where you go in this building, there are hotspots. There are activities. They've even classified the activity here as either kind of mundane and intelligent. So between like communicative, like speakings with the paranormal, and then just kind of like doors moving, things of that nature. So
Doors move-
different areas,
okay.
all different areas.
And
They
there's-
have a
and-
map. I believe they have a map that literally.
Well, it's not close to me. Discord.
Or
Uh,
bedroom, or
and
dressing room, or-
actually,
Yeah, I think
I'm
they
going to
literally
hell.
have it laid out.
They made it easy on us.
Yeah, they made it super easy.
Because-
Whatever you're in for, you know what I mean? So
And last, so that was a shot. If you have seen it, that ran, I don't know where it was, I don't know. Somewhere in the video, that girl, prison girl, how's it, the one what she was, the 2 guys, she, laat dan weer aan het, laat dan weer aan het kijken, she had taken the shore, it was her, I think. But yeah, she had to a kijken als a doorway, and it was just a, and I was standing a black shadow in man. It was so weird and crazy, and it was a really dark picture, so it was absolutely so difficult to pay attention to that, because I don't know, it was such a dark picture. Yeah, but if you didn't see that, go back to that ground. I don't know where it was. I don't know, or something, but yeah.
Goes,
Take a dip into the murder room.
you know, you just get a little bedpost murder. Like just kind of
A lobotomy roll.
yeah. Whatever you're feeling, you know, just kind of
Brain scramble.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry. So,
That got dark.
yeah. I mean,
Dark.
that's where we are though.
I know,
So,
the sun is down. I really thought this place was beautiful until now.
I mean, it is beautiful.
So,
So,
it is, yeah.
we're in for a wild night. We're here all night. We're meeting up with a guide again who's just gonna give us the lay of the land and the history and all of his paranormal experiences here. And then of course we'll take it from there on our own.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Let's
again,
get to
you
it.
know, enjoy this video. We're excited about these. These are really cool places to us. And
Yeah. Oh,
I feel,
yeah.
I feel like we're stepping up our videos
Yeah,
every time.
crazy.
Yes, this is some packed info,
100%,
too.
dog. All right.
I would really love to go to a place like that someday. Not gonna lie, I would love to go there one day. To a place like that.
That's the least friendly knock I've ever
That was a
heard.
nice one.
No.
There was a nice jingle to that in my head.
Is it open?
No, it didn't open. So I don't know.
We gotta go
Maybe you just
home?
didn't pull hard enough.
We have to go home?
I think so.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think
Back
that's
to
it.
Cali.
That's the end of the video. Actually.
Thank you guys for
Thanks for
watching.
watching.
Thank you guys for watching.
This was awesome.
We have a contest.
It's a dollar.
Enter it. Give it a good old haunting knock.
What's a haunting knock?
A haunting knock. What is a haunting knock?
Give it a happy knock. Give it a
How
haunting
crazy would
knock.
it be if we open the door and no one's there?
Stop. I'm out. I'm out. If we heard the
We
voice.
just hear the keys and the voice,
Oh
and then
my
the door swings open and no one's there. I'd be so excited.
That's like execution.
That was the opposite. You said terrified, and I said excited.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Fantastic! Let's go!
Hello, Scott. How are you?
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Roll Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Sound. Good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. All right, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're going to start here. This is the criminally insane forensics ward. And this used to house the criminally insane at the asylum from 1989 until the hospital shut down in '94. As far as activity goes, we've had a lot of guests report seeing shadows in these guard shack looking things right through there. Under the guard shacks, you'll see like little portholes right there where back in the day, the staff used to give the patients cigarettes and candy as a reward for good behavior. When you guys are out through the asylum, you're going to see like little piles of cigarettes and candy, and that's where people have come in and they've like made friends with the ghosts and they've actually left them cigarettes and candy.
Is that true? Is that really
So if you
true?
see that, you know you're in an active area. It's a really cool area.
We didn't bring any
We
candy.
can Postmate some candy.
That's a good idea.
No.
Actually, that's super.
So I'm really excited to see what you guys get down in this area. It can be a little grumpy at times. There's a lot of reports of growling and red eyes, red light anomalies through this one.
What?
Why has that been the common thing? Growling.
Yeah.
Red eyes is new.
Yeah.
Red eyes.
We haven't seen that. We've not encountered that before.
Yeah.
Most recently, we've had a couple folks like get a little, some touching on the back of their, like a little burning on the back of
On
their
the head,
or
Bob.
shoulders and stuff like that. So I'll be interested if you guys can get any of that to happen to you tonight. That'd be kind of cool.
I
We're gonna
don't
go
know if I
down
want
this
to
hallway
happen.
And we'll go over to lobotomy recovery. All right?
Notice he said cool and not terrifying.
Yeah.
He's probably like Elton. Well, no, he's now.
No, nobody's
No.
like
What I just want to know is that, like, if they're leaving cigarettes for ghosts back then, do you think when we have ghosts, like, they're gonna be leaving vapes? Yeah, like there's like little piles of like.
There's like a giant pile of puffs. Like, go find the puffs. That's what the activity is. Wow.
It's like a 2% of the first floor.
Yeah, this is just the foot.
All right, we got 5.9 acres to go.
Wow. It's like all black.
It's like never ending.
Where do they go?
That's you guys. That's you.
He's over this way.
See a room with one chair.
What is the welcome at fast then?
Yeah, and yeah. Oh my. Never a good reason.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Remember how you said you could find the way when you're
This one,
What is that? Close.
Look at that. Is there a lock on there?
Wait, that goes to the basement?
Yeah, you actually will go down to the subfloor, and that's where they did a lot of the recovery for the lobotomy procedures.
Cool.
Dude, wow. Holy crap.
The hell?
Look at this.
I would not know how to get out of here already without
No.
them.
I don't think the comments
If
is
you
going all the
blindfold me
way.
and drop me off somewhere randomly in here, I would never get out.
So that's what we're doing?
That's an idea, isn't it?
There's a lot of
We
ideas.
were supposed to do that to you with the phone recording.
But I've been too smart and I remember my way out.
Alright, so this is lobotomy recovery, and there
Sure.
would have been metal frame beds from that wall all the way down to the other end, and it would have been filled with patients that just received their lobotomies. And if you're not familiar with the procedure, the way they did it was they would give the patients electric shocks to put them under, then they would take an ice pick looking device, stick it to the soft part of the eye socket, and then smack it with the mallet into the frontal lobe. There they would take and move it back and forth like a windshield wiper, and that would disconnect the connections in the frontal lobe, basically changing their personality. They become more docile and easy to get along with. Consequently, down here, one of the most common reports we get is people will get a small pinch in their eye, and sometimes they'll get thunderclap headaches. We've even had guides go home, wake up the next day with black eyes. It's messed up. In addition to that, tons of
What?
biology down here, and we've had a couple apparitions spotted on either ends of the hallways.
Black eyes, do you mean like blue girls or green black eyes? The fuck?
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
We got a lot of nastiness already.
What? What?
Just hope that was that.
What? Wait, what? Wait, what? Fire. Close the fire. It's really, that is really hard to do. Right? Right?
Was there something about it? What are you looking at? Did you see something? Did you see something? Keep going.
What?
What did you swear?
What? What's going on?
What just happened?
What?
He just feels. What did you see? No, wait, 1 second. Yeah,
What?
you gotta say. He never talks. What happened? What just happened?
Evan, did you see something too?
That's a yes.
That's always a yes.
So
the only something. Wait.
this
I don't
right
know.
before
I
the
don't
hospital
care.
shut down was like an admin area, but prior to that, they used this as the procedure area. Down this one hallway are some individual suites where they would do electroshock therapies and then some of the lobotomies. And then over
Okay.
here, there's a large mass unit. So they would take and move gurneys in, one at a time into this one mass unit, and they would do the procedures in there. As far as activity goes, shadow figures on either ends of the hallways. We've actually had people like walk down here, they'll see something, and they'll be like, oh hell no, they turn around and go back the other way, and it's standing down there.
So you got nowhere to go.
No.
That's like the worst pickle in baseball that I've ever heard.
It's pretty bad. Now, there's also been reports of a mimic, like you'll hear somebody that you came with call your name, and you'll go to find them, and then you just kind of get off and you're
Yeah, that looks like a horror movie. I something and the soul or something. I hear a recognizable voice, and you shut it down. I can't see that
in
murder.
a little world, and there's nobody there.
I don't like that.
This
That's like a horror movie.
fun.
If you like this stuff, why were you?
What were you and Evan running from
No,
back
but
there?
we gotta keep learning. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What? What happened there? I don't know what
We're
happened.
the worst ghost hunters ever.
I don't think that happened
Down
honestly.
this area, you see the graded gate. You know that if you go down there and you go all the way to the end, you'll reach another stairwell, which will lead you up to this hallway too. And so it's just one great big loop through here. Yeah, it makes it a little easier to navigate.
Thank you. Stop running and.
I kind of wish I brought like electrical tape, so I could like
What?
mark different parts.
Yes.
And then we have to like walk like a course.
Hey, Elton.
Yes.
You want to open my zipper pocket?
Oh, do you really have electrical tape? So we'll take these all off later,
Okay, that's good.
and then that way we know where everything is.
Cool. Do you want to put one right here?
Yeah. And then I'll do this from now on. For everything
But
besides.
why?
And then later, we'll see if we can walk the whole thing in sequence. By ourselves.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Ready for Corey?
Yeah.
At any point in time now. Let's just close all the doors on us.
That's not where it came from.
But I'm just going on the door.
No.
I shut this door.
What?
We did not come from over there.
Where's Corey? Is Corey behind that door that we came from? I was waiting for you. I love how you hide, not even behind a wall, just like.
Hadi en kaysa. Look at the scene.
Oh, that actually.
Right here.
Oh yeah.
So this must be a hot spot.
Yeah.
That might be good to put a REM or a K2 right there.
Facts.
The sun's shining there. Hidden sky, the sun's
These
shining.
rooms, they look exactly like this. Got a tile, like wainscoting thing going for them, and you'll see spackle marks. And they used to put
What?
iron rings in those spackle marks. So when they put you in seclusion, they didn't just put you in there and shut and lock the door. They would take and harness you up until a 4-point stance.
What?
Now, get this. The person that signed you into the place, they had to be the one to sign you out. So if they really didn't like you, you were going to be in there for a long time.
You couldn't sit down.
Damn.
No, because it's a 5-point harness. So you've got your harness to 4 points and then one around the waist. So you've got one for each limb.
Oh
and
my
one around
God.
the waist.
What? How is that? That's torture.
Yo.
Sleep like that.
Funny thing. I have people that work in psych to this day. They'll come in and they'll say they do the same thing.
They still do that?
But they don't do it like that anymore. They do it to like a gurney or something like
Yeah,
that.
so you can lay down on it. Because that's kind of cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah. Yo. Imagine. Something like this. Imagine something like this for an entire month or something. That would be horrible. That would be so horrible. I can see. I guess eventually you will see anywhere after you are really tired. But yeah, how can you see that then?
Elton. Thumbnail. If they could make it happen, could we like put Corey up in those?
I don't have the key to that one. I know that one. All right. So
Listen, do something
on the other side. The action that we get in the lobby is we hear a lot of phantom voices, disembodied voices come through here.
Okay.
So you might hear from time to time like a crowd almost coming from this one.
Wow, a crowd. Not one person, no, a crowd.
Probably from that loss.
From your awful loss. Look in the room behind.
How's she doing?
Okay. That
This
one.
guy. Okay, that's Kylie. Yeah,
Elton, Elton, what are you doing?
Yeah. What? I was just saying hi.
What is this one?
I don't know, I just want to give her company, I guess.
You see that?
I don't know, I didn't get a chance. You interrupted me.
Dude, Elton. That is so.
okay. I do not like that. I do not like that.
This is going to be the prettiest ward that we have. All the antiques in here, they're not original. They were bought at auction to basically make this place look like it did in 1910. Wow. This is where they housed all the trustee patients.
Those are great, guys.
As
What was
far
it?
as goes, we've had guests take pictures inside the rooms. They've got shadow figures just hanging out.
What's that question? Asylum, okay. Asylum for crazy people, okay. So I don't know, okay. I don't know how asylum looks, so I don't
In
know.
case people will hear fire alarms down here, and there's not a working fire alarm in the place. So
Damn.
this is the old geriatrics ward. One of the most notable cases we had in here was a lady by the name of Ruth. Ruth suffered a brain aneurysm up in Violent Women's, and they put her down here in a feeding chair. She was like really violent with both patients and staff. And to this day, people will come down here and they'll say that they get knocked or they'll have their hair pulled. My own personal experience, my first year, I used to get scratches all up and down my shins. I wouldn't notice it until I got home. I started taking a shower and they're like burned. So yeah.
Damn. Yo, I don't know. How could you live there alone? I could not live there alone. He had scratches in his leg.
Jeez, alright. So this is
Dude,
where
why?
our more no
It's
experience
crazy.
is Lily. Lily identifies as being 9 years old. All of the toys that you'll see in Lily's room, those are all donations from fans of Lily. They'll come in here, they'll give her toys. She works with flashlights.
If you really mind, because he said, I don't know what is that, she was mine.
K2s, balls and balloons, she can move those. She has kind of an early bedtime, so the sooner you can get down here to talk to Lily, the better. After about 1 o'clock, we don't hear from Lily that much.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take you guys to the oldest section.
I can't try now.
Researched a lot about Lily.
Yeah.
Hi, Lily.
Yeah, Lily's the girl that we talked about that was born here, imprisoned here, and died here.
Damn.
That's her room.
That's the case with Lily, right? In theory, she was a...
So, wait. She was born here and what?
Lily was a child of rape.
Exactly. Yeah. That's,
Damn.
I've heard differing stories on it, and I've been here for 4 years. Basically what I know is that, I mean, she's really playful. People will actually hear her laugh throughout the asylum. They'll get EVPs of it. I mean, some of them I think have actually posted it to like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Hope you
Damn.
guys do that too. That'd be cool.
That would be great.
But this door, this is an old fire door. Check this out. So if there was a fire, the theory is that it would melt this cable, and it's built on a decline. So it just went like that.
That is awesome.
Damn. I will not trust that door. I will not trust that door.
I got Corbin to say that. You gotta have it. Okay, we gotta calm down.
I do like nothing thinking, what am I doing? Those are fucking children.
Double team.
This is the oldest section of the hospital. This is where they housed the first 9 women in 1864. This entire area, this is where they started construction in 1858. And they finally got all the building constructed in 1881. But this is where they housed most of the new patients, or the very first patients. Common things down here in the Civil War section, or in the, we call it the Civil War section, but the oldest section of the hospital, are apparitions, full-bodied apparitions. People will say that they've seen shadow figures down this area. On occasion, in the nurse's office, which is right behind us, or right over to my right, people have actually seen a woman looking back at them through that one window.
Yo, that's the same thing as happened in the last video. A random guy said, the tour said that a random guy that went on her tour, that he was looking into a window and somebody, a girl isn't like, was looking right back at him. Yo, I would freak out. I would shit myself.
Yeah.
Brandon. Oh my god. I was gonna say we get to the top and standing up here. Oh my god. Evan's been a ghost the entire time. None of our videos exist. We're all dead. Wait. What?
This is. Did you hear that?
Was that you? What?
Okay.
That wasn't just you talking? That was echoing maybe? What are you talking about?
Yeah. There was something down that way.
I was making a really bad joke that I didn't hear.
Okay, I'm going to be around this side.
So this will be Ward 5. This is the children's ward, and this used to house children toddler size up to 11 years old. Most common report that we have in here is peekers, little heads that'll peek in and out of the doorways. We have a couple of resident spirits that hang out here.
Don't like that.
You guys heard that
Don't
noise?
like that.
There's a guy down there that identifies himself as Ben. Ben also identifies as being 50 years old, and when you ask him what he's doing in the children's ward, he'll cuss you out. If you have like some sort of like a spirit box or something like that, it's a real good way to kind of.
What the hell? So, let me get this straight. There is a 50-year-old ghost, and when you ask him, what are you doing there? With the children, he's going to cuss you out. The fuck? Okay, that's disgusting, I hear. Okay.
Get in touch with him. Down here, we have another little girl. Her name's Emily.
How many deaths were there from kids?
Deaths?
Yeah, just like any apparitions.
I'm not real certain. See, it's really hard to figure out when it comes to kids. Again, same thing is with Emily. People have left toys for her. She has fans just like Lily does.
How do ghosts have fans? That's what I'm
She
wondering.
will also manipulate balls and balloons. There's some people that speculate that Emily and Lily are the same spirit. This is the juvenile.
Cool, it's possible. Because they're doing the same thing.
17. Most common experience people have down here is that they'll have their pant legs tugged on and their shoelaces untied, and that has to do with this bathroom down here. There were 2 patients in this bathroom. We got into an altercation. One patient turned to the other and he stabbed him 17 times with a homemade shank.
Jesus.
He didn't
Damn.
die in the bathroom though. He ended up crawling out of the bathroom all the way down to the nurse's desk before he passed away. And so we're thinking that people are like feeling it. Now, my own personal experience, I haven't had anything tug on my legs or anything, but I get pinches, little pinches all up and down my legs whenever I'm walking down through here. It's kind of weird.
Jeez. How
Yeah,
many
that's weird.
patient, crimes were there, right?
Huh?
Tons. And you gotta figure, as big
That
as
is
this building is,
rare.
it was only meant to house 250 patients.
Yeah.
But by the mid-60s, well over 2,500. So that's 10 times the amount that should be in here. And you get the patient rooms in here, you're talking about, about 75 to maybe 80 teenagers in this one area.
Well, I can only imagine what they would do to somebody that attacked them that one because they're already kind of crazy. So we're going to go back just to here, right? I mean, nothing really happens to you.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
This is the center section. This is the doctor's apartments. So if you were a doctor here from the 1880s and 1930s, this is where you stayed. They had office space, dining areas, apothecaries down this way, and then their apartments were all down this way.
But
That doorway leads.
do they live in the same space as the space? Because I would not want to live there. I would not want to live next door to psychopath place. Nah. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you.
You can actually go out on that
I'm sorry.
roof down there and look out over the city.
This portion used to look like the rest of the.
Oh, for sure. Take
Okay.
a look over here.
Oh wow.
that's
So
what this
immense
place is.
restorations.
Wow.
Damn.
What do we even? Oh, is that down that hallway right there?
No, this is right here.
Oh, what?
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where the seats.
Yeah, there
This-
used
wow.
to be like a wall
Yeah.
right there, and it went into a corridor. So they opened all this up and they restored it back to the way it should look in 1990.
That's actually kind of cool.
Flipping shows, but here.
Yeah, exactly.
The activity I'm really interested in, you guys seeing if you can get something, is the violent wards, the most violent wards in the asylum. They're right up the stairs here. This will be the grand staircase, probably the best way to maneuver through the place. So this is violent women's. This would have housed the most violent women in the asylum. When the women had a problem with you, what they would do is they would stage themselves into rooms and wait for you to get to the sweet spot, and then they would all converge on you. They would just kind of plot and plan it. The activity mimics that in here. People that walk through here will get tugs from all sides as they walk down through
So, you looked at it as a group.
the
Damn.
corridor.
That's crazy.
Strategic.
Yeah. Wow. But why?
If they
What's the
attacked
angle?
other patients, or if they attacked staff, or if they were criminally insane and they were checked out and they were actually made wards of the state and they were violent, then this is where they would have been. This is where they would have ended up at.
Damn.
Dude, this is. I can't wait to investigate it.
You bastard! I swear, there's gonna be a punch thrown one of these times. Oh,
I
no.
want to see that. I really want to see
Is
that.
that a frontal lobotomy?
Yeah.
Oh.
That guy's showing
Oh.
off. That's why he's got two going at the same
Oh.
time. Oh, you're not supposed to be. It's only supposed to be one at a time. This guy's like, I can do two. It's no big deal.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what he's doing right there.
Doing a chopstick lobotomy.
Yeah.
What?
Hold up two and.
It's not Chinese food. What?
Yo. I'm wondering how much time was I have to get in. God damn.
Personalities.
Yeah, because they would take out the nerves.
This is violent men's.
Yo. I'm curious. How I don't know how I don't know how to imagine that somebody totally crazy strange like that. Damn.
One of the more notable patients that we had here was a guy by the name of Jim Woods. Jim stood about 6'3". He was like over 350 pounds. He was an ex-boxer. This guy just
Wow.
run this ward. He ran this ward until actually they shipped all the patients when they closed down in 1994 over to the new Sharps Mental Hospital. He actually went that way too. But his first room was this one. They gave him a roommate, and it's rumored that this roommate would come out stripped naked and scream at the top of his lungs, and then when they caught him, they would throw them back in with Jim. And Jim didn't want that, so he pinned the guy up against the wall with his feet on his chest until he lost consciousness. The guy hit the floor, and Jim beat him to death with his own fist.
Damn.
We think that we still see him every once in a while, most notably down at the end of the hallway. There's a large shadow figure that normally comes out and just kind of crosses his arms, almost daring you to go down there and check him out.
Jeez.
Which is where we need to go with this.
Yeah, let's go check him out, I guess.
Yeah, why not? Let's go to him.
Brandon said he was really good at jujitsu, so maybe if, we do check him out, we gotta protect her.
This is gruesome.
How do I suspect?
History. September 17th, 1987, there were 3 patients in here. One was Dean Matheny. Dean had like the mentality of an 8-year-old, plus he was deaf and mute. He bit somebody, he got in trouble, and the doctor said, well, if he wants to be Billy Badass, he's gonna set him up here to the violent men's section. So they threw him in here with Jim Woods, which I
Right.
told you about. Same time.
How old was it? How old was that one?
That,
Right.
or if they were criminally insane and they were checked out and they were actually made
Right.
wards of the state and they were violent, and this is where they
But I go to Sagar.
Is that a frontal?
Yeah, I went to Sagar.
This guy just run this ward. He ran this ward until
Right,
they gave him a roommate.
right,
Beat
I
on his
went to
chest until he
Sagar.
lost consciousness.
Jujitsu, so
This has a recent history.
Yeah,
September
okay.
17th, 1987, there were 3 patients in here. One was Dean Matheny. Dean had like the mentality of an 8-year-old, plus he was deaf and mute. He bit
Okay, he had to retire as an 8-year-old. How old was he actually? That's what I'm
somebody, he
wondering.
got in trouble, and the doctor said, well, if he wants to be Billy Badass, you know, send him up here to the men's section. So they threw him in here with Jim Woods, which I kind of told you about earlier. And there's another guy by the name of David Mason. And they took one look at Dean and they said, no, not on our watch. So they grabbed the sheets off their bed, they wrapped it around his throat, and they threw it over the water pipe, and they lifted him off the ground until he lost consciousness, right? They dropped him to the floor, and to wake him up, they kicked him in the ribs and in the head. And he stirred, right? So they got him back up, and they did it a second time. Dropped him to the floor, kicked him awake again, he was stirring again, so they brought him up, hung him back up, and then when he lost consciousness this time, they let him down. But they grabbed a metal frame bed, they put the post right on top of his head, and they took turns jumping up and down on the bed until the post went through his skull and hit the floor. To this day, people will still make contact with Dean. He will respond to like toys and coloring books. People have had really good luck with REM pods and K2s as well as spirit box and stuff.
Jesus.
I'm excited to see if you guys get anything in here, or even in this one hallway.
That might be the most gruesome death of it.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He had the mentality of an 8-year-old, but he was in his 20s.
That is so crazy.
So long ago. 20s. God damn. So it got hung up, then lost consciousness, then getting up, so he lay up, then we did that one more time, and then, damn. That sucks.
You know those guys? He just came in here,
Yeah, that's right.
and they were like, "Well, let's do that."
Chilling in here with the rest of the patients.
Did the doctors not foresee
Wow.
that Jim Woods would do that?
If they did, I don't know that, you know, they really care at that point. I think it was more or less that they needed, you know, they needed to make an example of him, so they sent him up here.
How many people did you
Wow.
I mean, I've been told of 2, at least 2. If there's probably more. If I had to
Yeah.
guess.
Well, that's crazy.
I don't like it.
I like it.
Look at you up there.
Where did that ball? No, why did you take the ball? Huh? That's Dean's ball, dude.
Should I put Dean's ball back?
Yeah, was he? Yes, you should.
Are you serious? Why are you keeping the ball?
You're kidding me, right?
You gotta put that back.
Go put that back.
Go by yourself.
The elite tried to steal a goal.
You have to put that
He
back.
literally said no taunting, and you're taking.
I'm not taunting.
You just took his ball. You
What
took
do you?
his
Wait, wait, wait.
ball.
Why'd you want the ball?
Zach Baggins type stuff.
God.
Yeah, true.
No.
I wasn't taunting.
Then why do you have the ball?
It just looked cool. I thought it would be cool to bring it with us.
Were you gonna keep it?
No, we're just
Keep
gonna
it.
take.
No, keep it. Let's see what happens.
We're just gonna take it to the next place.
Dude. Oh my God. Now you're gonna have something.
Remember, you're gonna bring that back by yourself.
Look on the hunt again.
Somebody's coming.
He doesn't want that shit. He doesn't want that shit.
Go.
Alright, come on, guys.
Yeah, that was me. I run that because of Lucas Claire.
There was a show that it came in, Paranormal Lockdown, with Nick Ralph and Tony Blyden. When they came up here, the cameraman that was with them, he turned pale white. He was looking down there at the end of the hallway on the right-hand side. And what they caught on camera was like this mass, and it turned into like a humanoid figure that crawled from right to left. And it confirmed for us reports that we had before, and we have to this day. People up here will say that they see something crawl on the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. We've been barked
The
at,
hell?
we've been yipped at, we've been scratched. A couple of us have been scratched up here. It seems to be intelligent, so I'm excited to see what you guys get up here too.
It's just the whole time. I'm excited that you guys are going to get.
Especially on all the fourth floor.
So only the cameraman got messed with that time, right?
Yeah.
The cameraman caught the
Huh.
footage for sure. Yeah.
Huh?
And that seems to be. That seems to be a
Coming for you, Evan.
Sorry, Evan. Evan, can you stay in back the entire time, please?
Evan with the camera. That'd be amazing if you can turn any wider, though.
Wait, now I'm not gonna have a
No,
Hello.
Well, look at the raccoon. Look at the raccoon right there. Oh, look.
What the hell? What's the raccoon doing in there?
Oh my God.
He's big, man.
Could that not be like what scratches people mostly?
That's the sibling I was like.
Seriously.
That's basically the building.
Awesome. Over here. That's it.
I've left maps for you guys in the break room. I'll be located in the office out back. I've left my number down there, so you guys, if you guys need anything, just text me, call me.
Oh, this is we're splitting.
This is the end, yeah. So now we have to figure out how to.
Okay, I'm excited to see this. This is why something happens. And in the next stream, next Friday, I don't know what I'm going to do there. But when we come and got to do it out, I will search for their videos that they are really trying to find and talk to ghosts, because I'm interested in that.
No, I'll take you guys down. I'll show you.
Do people ever get like poked or touched up here?
Yes.
That's what just happened to me.
What, really?
On my back.
On your back?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the ass.
Right
I mean,
middle of my back, right below my neck.
Yeah, that happens on occasion.
It wasn't one of y'all.
Dude, I swear to you, I was like
And
actually.
I'm wearing
in front of
like
you.
4 layers.
What did it feel? Did it feel like a?
A little bit softer. Yeah. It was like.
man.
Okay.
All right, well, great start to the evening.
I was hoping it was often trying to tickle me. Just like that. All right, so the last couple nights you were by yourself.
Yep.
In the chair room. You were actually by yourself in the sub basement, and then 2 nights ago at Eloise, you were by yourself.
And then
in
I
that.
went outside.
Then you ended up outside.
Couldn't take it.
So the idea I pitched earlier, it seems like I'm up.
Yes.
It's your turn.
You're definitely.
Yes.
It only makes sense. So
Yes.
what's the plan? You're gonna blindfold me.
Yes, you're not going to be able to know where we're going to take you to some random place that we'll figure out.
Yeah,
right?
we'll figure it out.
I think
Oh,
we
that's
should
so
go. probably-
good.
Yeah. Everybody knows about Lily's room. So Lily's room will be over. I'm not even going to show you where
Wherever
that
Lily's room is, we'll be there.
You will have to find your way back using these tools. Well, not actually. That's not even a tool. You have to just use your camera, I guess, to just be able to get back. So
Okay.
flashlight.
What?
So you guys are gonna go investigate in
Yo. I was scared as hell.
and then you're just gonna beforehand you're gonna drop me off randomly. And
Anyway.
by myself,
And
I
you
have
have
to
to
wander
sit
the
there.
halls
Yeah.
until I can figure out how to get there. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
Damn,
idea.
that's hungry.
Seat, Uncle.
That's hungry. I suck.
No.
No. Are you gonna carry me up the?
Look at his upper body. We can carry you all day.
Come on, dude. It's not that type of day though. This treatment.
Here we go.
You look.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, give him some good spinning.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, let's go. I think I know where I want to go, boys. Wait, actually, I don't know this place.
Wait, Corbin. I know where to take him.
I know where I want to take him.
Grab him. Grab him.
I just
Run, just
remember
run.
exactly how to get there.
Yes, you do.
Put the brakes on.
That could have been really bad.
Yo.
To that one room that's just so open. It goes all the way down. You know what I'm talking about? Ryan, do you know what I'm talking
What?
about? That room. Is that the basement?
This one?
I think it's the basement, yeah. They go all the way down. Then you guys go, I'm saying either that or one of those rooms that they chain you up in. That it was up by Jim's room. Put it inside one of those. How are we gonna get it?
Yeah, that's not open, right?
Steps he's going up. Okay. You know? Let's go. I also don't really remember how to get there, but we could try. I do. You do? You scared me.
Blanca.
Papa Casting? Papa, how you doing? Come on. Come on, Papa. Let's go to bed. It's time to go to bed, Papa. Okay. I guess. You know where we're going. Come on, Papa. Oh.
Let's go take care of something.
Ja, zo aknen. Ook zo zaknen.
Papa, pull your pants down. No, you don't gotta go potty? No. You don't gotta go potty, Papa? All right, Papa. No potty tonight.
Look. Yeah.
And that door, the bathroom door, just opened by itself as y'all walked away. And the light just turned off.
So let's keep going.
Yo. I will not want to do that by myself.
Through this one? Through this
But I don't want to do that. No, absolutely not.
Can you smell the piggies?
What?
We're at the farm, Papa.
What?
Yeah, leave me in the.
place that none of us have been to?
What are you talking about?
Lovely.
If we can't figure this out, like visually,
I know where you're having to. I remember this floor. I remember this sound.
No, you don't pop like
Yeah, the flashback area.
You can't see.
Flashbacks.
Flashback.
Evan, you want to go first? Because I can't see anything.
no. Okay.
Oh,
No, okay, sure.
lovely.
No, that is so crap.
Pretty much.
Yep, that's fake. Oh my god.
No, that's messed up.
First thing I see is someone chained up. I don't like how excited you guys are.
Exactly excited. Or
No, that's quickly, that sucks.
okay, good idea.
Yo, then they are gone, and that would be so scary if you would feel something like somebody touching. That would be so scary.
What? What? Do you know how to wait?
That's the fire alarm they're talking about.
That's an alarm.
Yeah,
No, that's like a.
That's what he was talking about.
yeah.
What's that alarm? Someone broke in?
Yo, I don't like that. That gives me goosebumps.
That's an old school alarm.
That means we're taking it the right way, I think.
Yo, I don't like that. I don't like that. No, that gives me, literally goosebumps. Even on my legs. No, I did not like that. Okay.
Listen up. Does everybody remember him saying that some... Everybody stop.
That means someone broke in. He told us that.
No. He said people hear sirens, but there's no sirens anymore. That's what he told us.
I mean, that was clear as day.
Exactly. But if you guys heard the
Yeah.
sirens, there are no sirens like that anymore. That was old school. That was like a 1930s
But
like
how can you hear it on camera?
from today. Yeah, he told us that people heard that before. That might be some like legendary evidence. Oh my god, we have to ask him.
Dude, I think someone broke in.
No.
Maybe he just click on a button and did the sound.
Way.
Dude, there's no. You're telling me we just heard a phantom alarm that loud?
That's what he
Yeah.
said people heard before.
Do you understand how insane of evidence that is? If that's real?
What the f?
That's clearly on
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
100%.
how can you hear it on
Either
camera?
way, that
It's
either means
something.
someone broke in, or we just got the greatest piece of evidence we've ever gotten.
If we talk to him,
Yo, if I was to do it in a chair right now, I would not want to do that alone. I am not joking. After that, hell no.
if you get out of here, I guess.
I have his phone number. We can just call
Well, no.
him.
You should call him. Like.
Well, here, let's close
No,
it.
don't close it. What if we get locked in?
Wait, we might get locked in.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Where are we? No, we're gonna get locked in.
No, don't close it all the way. There's no door.
Yeah, don't close it.
Okay, but just in case.
Don't worry. We need to keep him as closed in as we can.
Yeah, put your hands in there because you don't want to do that.
Okay, honestly, Elton, you should call him right now.
Wait.
You can take
I
him.
didn't write his phone number down. It's still written down in the lobby.
Oh,
I forgot.
Oh no.
I forgot to.
Evan, do you have it? No.
What do we do?
No, wait, listen.
That one's I thought that is
We'll go back. I'll call him from the number.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and then we go to Louis.
Yeah, and then what if it is someone that broke in? I get murdered.
They'll see.
Yeah.
Honestly, they'll see you in your wheelchair and they'll think that you're a patient, and
Yeah,
they'll
looks
get
like
scared.
you're more scared.
I'm
Makes
going
sense.
99% confident that someone just broke in here.
I don't think so.
There is no way that is a phantom.
He said there's no alarm.
He
And
said
also, listen, why would it stop?
Holy dude, you don't. I'm
Why would
hyped
it
right
stop?
now. That was insane.
Yeah.
If that was the alarm,
I
that
do
you
not want to
hear,
do that alone.
and we just got that on camera.
Alarms do not stop.
That came out of nowhere.
I thought we were getting
Is
bombed.
anyone walking right now?
No.
Someone else is in.
What are you talking about?
Which,
Huh?
No one was just walking.
Do you hear something?
I mean, I literally, the only thing I can do is hear right now.
Yeah.
I don't get cold easily,
Yeah.
and I'm shivering right now, so.
Okay, yeah. Alright, should we...
Yo,
we gotta-
I have some gruesome on my left.
Oh, yeah.
I have some lots of gruesome on my left.
I'm just really cold. I've been getting colder and colder and colder.
Okay.
Dude, ever since we sat him in the wheelchair.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm just sitting still, but like.
But this could have been a patient's wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm getting like.
And now they're angry.
We may or may not have been in this area of the hospital before.
I don't know.
Do we need to bring this
Yeah.
chair back though?
Yeah.
We'll take it back. You can just get up.
Alright, Papa.
We'll let Pop out of the chair.
Come on, Papa.
Yo, I would not want to do that. I
Alright, you
would not want to do
turn
that.
this way. Give us like 4 or 5 minutes to get out of
4
here.
or 5
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah.
One, I don't
Yo.
even know how long that is.
And the camera will know how long it is, so you have to get...
But I won't.
Count to 100.
Yeah, we're going to 100.
Okay.
Yo, I would not want to do that after that. Stronger.
Yeah, then if you're saying that, I'm.
I'm Elton.
Yo, I would not want to do that. Let's go ahead and say I'm not doing that. After that, stronger.
Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Don't
5,
lock the door.
6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10.
That's catchy. That's so catchy.
How am I hearing out of here? I'm already hearing
I could still do that. That's, I don't know.
36, 39. I swear it sounds like there's someone right here. 42.
I don't not do that.
Where I am. 53. 58.
Yeah. So that I was good at all. I was good at all. I'm gonna get a shit.
56.
Nah, I absolutely not.
Sounds like there's someone in this f***ing room right now. 70.
Okay. Come on. I need like...
There's what's in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my own GoPro. Oh, you. Wait, I said, oh my god, I said there was something inside here with me. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, because...
Yeah. Yeah. Stronger, after, not doing that, not doing that. Hunger.
He did it to Corey the other day.
That's true. I
office will be the
actually
first
don't
floor.
know.
Because I never got carried upstairs.
That's true.
Okay. What can I recognize first?
But what if you can't recognize
What can I
anything?
recognize first?
And they can't show each other again. I would be so shocked.
I'm lost right now. Wait.
Shit. It's locked. Push
Wait,
the
what?
Okay. This is the right way.
Look at the sun if you lock into
I
each
operate
other.
well under high pressure
I'm trying to
situations.
shoot
I figure out
some
the catacombs
laser
and figure
soon.
this out. That's my own reflection. That is terrifying. All right. Okay. No, I'm going this way. Left says. Brain says left. Brain says left.
Oh my god. No, don't lock it. Don't lock it.
No.
He could go through the basement though.
I don't
Yeah, I'm
recognize
got
this.
it. Nah,
I don't know where I am.
bro. I'll figure it out.
Come on, figure this out. Figure this
I'll
out. Figure
figure
this
this
out.
out.
You need any kind of sign. Bathrooms.
Something
why
said,
would it be
something
bathrooms?
said,
Okay. It has to go left, but I don't think I'm in the right place. Where am I? I don't know any of this.
yeah, what the
No, this can't be
hell?
right.
I was panic. Not gonna lie, I was panic. Crazy people.
You can't see anything, guys. Hold on, let me show this. That's what I see.
Why don't you just go close them?
This this the loop he was talking?
Yo. Shotgun,
Holy
asshole. I would not do that. Shotgun.
This doesn't make any sense.
I could not imagine being here alone, seriously.
No, I'm gonna go to a dead end again.
Oh, er is gewoon een zaal of zo'n lezen.
I need to find the floor. I heard when they were wheeling me, it was crackling. So I gotta find the floor that's crackling.
Right. Ja, shit, nee, alles gaan gaan. Dus ja.
No!
Dit is lost. Dit is fucking lost. Ja, dit is fucking lost.
We couldn't figure out how to do it, and we had vision. We had a full light.
Please, if you're in here, don't kill me. Exit. Okay. So how do I get over there?
Ja. Dat gaan we loose aan het zitten zijn. Dat je niet zo te achteraan in zijn stallen net.
Through here. Okay. Now what?
Oh, is er gewoon de right way? Damn. I
Holy
think
shit.
yes.
Okay.
I think
I know I am. Ha!
Ah. Damn, he's just a really quick. Damn.
I hope it isn't your bedtime. Oh, are you messing him up?
That's the window. That's a cigarette.
Sounds so good, right? Guess in 1 second.
And through here again. Motherfucker, I did it.
Damn. He did that real quick.
On that walk, and we ran for a long time. We walked for a long time. Like he is far. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Aha,
He
he
did it less,
did that
right?
really fucking
100
quick.
seconds, that's like what, less than 2 minutes, right? So it's 100 seconds, but even when we were going, we still didn't know where we were going.
We got lost on the way back, and we have light and 4 people.
And we know how we walked in, and he doesn't know where to go.
Okay, yeah, you can stay here now.
Oh, and that siren has freaking him out. He's probably terrified. He thinks that somebody's here. He thinks somebody broke in.
But what was the silent though?
No, to be honest.
I really don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
What if we watch the playback and that siren's not in it?
I will. Oh my god. We need to do.
Maybe the other guys that are just ground down. I think that.
No, that's outside. Wait, I had this. I had it. No, I remember
So
this
you
door.
need to. Oh, they are in the room. Okay, I think.
I remember this door. Pigs. Yes!
Damn! He did that real quick.
We have the ambulance which will tell us words.
Yo! He did that real quick.
Okay, let's take it out. Does anybody know how to turn it on? Yeah, I got you.
Where's it outside?
Alright, so we have a key too. Wait, whoa.
Oh, the skeleton.
Okay, it's supposed to tell us which direction that energy is going, right? Yeah. So if something green's going this way, if it's red, it's going that way. Yeah. Oh my god.
Dat is keine Stunde, ja, ist keine Stunde.
It is its way? Yeah.
Alright, I'll go ahead and turn on the Oculus.
No, it's not consuming there. Oh man, guys, it's gotta be. It's gotta be 10 degrees. And I'm doing this just to try and scare them. So,
Yeah, I thought so.
I love making videos for this channel. That's up, I think I can see it right there.
Okay, I turn the Oculus on.
Oh, this thing's going crazy.
Loop underline immediately. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Lily wants us to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Lily, are you in here with us?
What?
Lily, we just heard you.
Yo.
Feel
field. Lily, if you want to talk to us, we have the red pod right here.
This is it.
Homicide. Homicide?
Homicide.
Homicide in this building. I wonder if she's like been around for that.
Who are we talking to right now?
Stuff? Stuff or stuff?
She has a lot of stuff in here.
That's going up like crazy.
No, I know this is spiking to red, like insane. Set this down.
What's he doing?
We shall also introduce ourselves. Just so you know, Lily, this is Corey. Hello. My name is Corbin, and this is Brandon.
What's happening?
Lily, are you over by your desk right now?
What? Are you not hearing this out then, or are you just hearing something else? I can't, okay. Oh, okay, that's out then. Yeah, that's out then, okay.
There's someone at the window. No. Yeah, there's someone at the window.
Ha!
There's someone at the window right there. They're lowering their head now. There's someone. Look. It's Elton! No. What are you doing here?
You thought you could trap me, didn't you?
Oh my god. That's scary, dude.
Oh, you boys thought you could trap me? Huh?
We didn't try to trap you.
Dude, it said field. I wonder if they were saying that Elton was in the field.
Oh man.
Anyways, it's cold and the only way back in is through the front door, so I will see you guys soon.
Why do you go to the side?
Dude,
Why did he come into the...
It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it, my hands are frozen.
Still going up.
Yeah, no, it's spiking. It hasn't beeped, but it keeps going up.
It cannot have been Elton. No, it's not Elton.
Lily, were you touching that REM pod?
Wait, was the K2 just spiking? The directional REM pod.
Okay, let's go. Because there's a lot of stuff going on.
I don't know, out.
Stay in here, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe like...
So I would say there should be a way to be out of here, such as my camera light. So maybe I should stay here with somebody, and somebody goes into the big, scary, dark abyss.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to stay here. I don't want to do that.
You guys are going.
Messing with
I want to stay in here. I see you. Brandon,
Are you brave enough to go?
Okay.
Alright, see you at work.
Are you staying?
Of course.
Okay, good.
He says, I'm not going out there.
Actually, I'm gonna go get Elton.
Okay, so this is going to happen next time.
I mean, this place
It is huge. It has a little motion like red on those walls.
Okay, interesting. Okay. So that last episode today, that was really interesting, I'm not gonna lie. The first clip, I don't know, the gruesome, it was alright. But the second one, that really fucking scared the shit out of me. And I don't know, if I ever have the opportunity to do that, I will definitely do that. I will definitely go to a place like that because I'm just interested in that kind of things. And that's why I watch horror movies. I just love to get scared. And I'm really interested to see sort of how you experience that. So yeah. Next time, next stream tomorrow we're going to react to music. It's going to be recent. the Sunday we're going to go toilet to walking that and it's Monday I'm going to toilet. Also walking that season to react, we don't want to miss it, I'm going to. The walking that is amazing. We're playing the whole game the entire month, so yeah. That's going to be amazing, but yeah, if I have the opportunity in the future, I will definitely try to do something like this. But not alone, I would bring somebody or a friend or a specialist on this topic, but yeah, I would love to make a video about this. So, let's see the chance, ghost hunting. Really fun, not gonna lie. Would love that, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed this stream and see all you guys tomorrow in the next stream at 30 and Liverpool time. So, see you then. Later.